Welcome to Prince of Peace Tarot. I'm Justin, and today we are doing a continuation of the collective conversation. Okay, we started out with spirit, and this is the continuation of the collective conversation for mind, body, soul. And I think I said called it mind, body, soul, spirit. I can't remember how I titled it, but we touched on spirit first, so that recording is out there. And I told you before that spirit is like the vehicle for the soul. Okay, it's spirit is more like your personality, but I won't go, full fledged deep into talking about, what the spirit is because that video is already done. Today we're going to talk about the soul. Okay, now I will say, bear with me because I am reading from my notes, but we got some information here, and hopefully you guys could use it or it helps you in your life. That's what it's here for. I mean, it's helping me. I'm learning, and I'm deciding that, whatever I learn, I want to share with you. Okay, so the soul is the immortal essence that defines the intention of all things set into motion. It is the seed of all activity, the non-judgmental portion of the divine intention and will. Okay, so you can say that the soul equals will. Okay, but the soul has no personality. Okay, remember that we've assigned personality to spirit. Okay, so soul has no cause in and of itself other than to drive forward the will of the Almighty. Okay, so in other words, the soul is like a unique blueprint. Okay, and it has divine purpose. And the divine purpose is to learn, evolve, experience all aspects of creation, and eventually return back home and reunite with the eternal God source. So that's another way you could look at it. Okay. But the soul's drive, that's its purpose, and its will is its purpose, and it's the will of the Almighty, which is God. Okay. So let me see, make sure I'm not losing my place. Will is the genesis of action, okay? So the corruption of will results in an unfulfilled destiny, okay? Lacking in will or drive doesn't mean you are lacking in soul. It means you are lacking in conscious will and conscious drive. So you don't want to be living an unconscious life. You don't want to create things around you unconsciously. You always want to keep in mind that you are an energetic being, and I'm going to keep reinforcing that. This is a 3D reality experience, but first and foremost, you're an energetic being, and you want to be able to live this life in balance. You want to be able to live your existence as a human being, expressing yourself, doing the things that you want to as a human that are a part of your personality, but that are in alignment of your soul. And the minute you try to say that part of you doesn't exist, or you try to over identify with the 3D material world, meaning you only believe in the things you can see, hear, taste, and touch through your five senses, that's when your will, your soul, can become corrupted. Okay, and that means that, and we talked about that corruption of you unhooking your spirit from your soul, and then the thought forms of whatever's out there are able to attach to your soul. And now that is driving your soul in directions that it was never meant to go. So that's the corruption that we're talking about. Okay, meaning, doing anything outside of whatever your purpose was supposed to be. Anything. All right. So it's important to do like rituals, meditation, and have a spiritual practice. And your ritual could be like, I wake up in the morning and, I say my prayer. I say a prayer, or I do morning affirmations, or I do yoga, or I meditate, or whatever it is. So you want to have a spiritual practice in order to get into alignment with the intentions and purpose of your soul and your life purpose. Okay? All right. So at the core of your soul is truth. Okay? And your soul is always looking to balance out the corruption and illusion in your life with truth. Okay, so I made this note to myself. I was like, the soul will blow up your spot. And then I said, i.e. tower moment, like to throw some tarot in there. So tower moment meaning like the tower card in the major arcana. And what I meant by the soul will blow up your spot is if it's looking for truth, that means your soul will cause illusions to fall away, you know. And if you have identified yourself as something other than who you really are, like it will cause things to like go down to where tower moments where it's just like, that's not the real you. I'm shutting this down. I'm ending this relationship, ending this job, ending this, that, and the third, where your life seems to be unraveling. That's when your soul is blowing up your spot. Okay. So here, let me see. What do I have right here? Yeah, when I say when disasters start to occur, this leads your spirit to do things that are unpleasant. And here, what we say? When these disasters occur, it leads your spirit to do things that are unpleasant, and it will blame them on others. Okay, it will blame those things on others rather than on your own personal spirit and the actions and the behaviors that caused everything to start to fall away. Okay. All right. So the soul acts as a repository of accumulated memories from the physical and external experience that are translated into internal energetic realities of energetic reality of the conscious being. So everything that's happening to you is being stored. There's memory, everything that's being said, done, action, movement, thoughts, conversations, it's all being stored in the soul body, because hopefully once once we're done here and you do make it back to source, you can give up that information. And maybe sometimes I think that helps to create the instructions for the spirit you take on in your next life, you know? Because it'll say like, okay, so what did we learn here? What didn't we do? You know? All right, so from this information, let's build up a new matrix and get it going again. So, okay. The soul allows your heart to, excuse me, hold on. Got it. Okay, so the soul allows your heart to deeply feel the love of God as a unifying force. Okay? So that feeling acts as a bridge between your soul and your higher self. So if you feel like you're not and this is what this was a note that I put to myself. So I said, so if you feel like you're not receiving an answer to your prayers, or you're not getting like a message back, like some people, I don't know how you receive messages from God or answers. People receive confirmations from God in various ways. So if you're a person that says like, I know God was speaking to me through, it could have been a commercial you saw, a book, a story you were reading, something out of a novel, or maybe it's angel numbers, or I don't know, it could be a feeling. When you're connected, when God is speaking to you. But all of a sudden, when you start to feel like there's just silence, it might be because you have a blocked heart. Okay. And the heart, a lot of people have said, is the seat of the soul. So if your heart is blocked off, that means you're not receiving those messages from your higher self that are allowing you to be directed on which way you want to go. Okay. Now this is a real important thing about the heart. Okay. And I'm gonna go into more now about talking about I guess trauma, healing, different things like that, because people don't recognize how important it is to heal. All right. So let's just go into it. So when the heart is blocked, it accumulates abnormal emotional energies in the subconscious, creating trauma and soul fragmentation and addictions. Okay. So addictions come from, and I'm saying this all wrong, addictions come from forced ego identities. And those identities are intertwined through addiction pathways, making it easy for a person to be energetically controlled and manipulated. Addiction programming persists from unhealed trauma made by soul fragmentation. Okay? So, those relationships that have truly hurt you, those experiences that have made you feel small, anything that made you that made you create a persona or an identity basically based out of fear, and maybe fear of lack of control, will cause, if you feed into that fear and believe that those experiences are you, you might create a ego identity to protect you. And that fake identity is going to cause more problems, which this is this addiction programming that they're talking about. And when you have an addiction, you're easily controlled, okay? Controlled by whatever that addiction is, and controlled by people who know of your addiction. Okay, they know how to manipulate your mind because you have this affliction. Okay. All right. So these blockages disrupt the soul and higher self integration into the body and consciousness, manifesting mental pathologies of conflict and egotism. And what I'm saying by that is a person who displays self-serving behavior, selfishness, narcissistic tendencies. Okay. And we're going to discuss some narcissism a little later on further in, but we'll just keep going for now. Okay. So the first step in soul fragmentation is unhooking the spirit from the soul. And we talked about that in the spirit video. So make sure you watch that. Okay. The conscious mind, when the spirit and the soul get unhooked, the conscious mind does not remember or feel the soul. The unconsciousness that occurs, because now I don't feel the soul, this makes me unconscious. And that unconsciousness that you start to, the state that you live in now, triggers and starts the soul fragmentation. Okay? So now we're going to talk about soul splitting, and which is soul fragmentations. So when aspects of your soul fragment and sink into the lowest layers of perception, they enter a danger zone. Okay. So the blockages and dead energies accumulating in your heart space subject a person to the underworld energies and lower astral traveling. Now, lower astral traveling could be like nightmares, having nightmares, being subjected to like underworld energies could be like seeing shadow people, or not being able to sleep, or feeling a presence within your home. When the soul is separated from the higher spirit body, and continually sinks into the lowest dimension, it will merge at the areas where the personal and collective unconsciousness start to flow together. When this occurs, dark, chaotic shadow bodies start to emerge and multiply. Okay? So this is the chaotic realm of demonic hierarchies, animalistic, vulgar, and grotesque creations. They all reside there. Okay, the scary things that people have made. I don't know if you guys remember, if you watch South Park, when the kids go to, what is that place? Imagination. I don't know if you've seen that episode where, everything that is nice and like the Tooth Fairy and, Easter Bunny, everything we've ever thought of that's good and sweet lives there. But then like Freddy Krueger and it and all the scary things are starting to spill over into this land. And that could be viewed as, if you've seen the episode, as like the collective unconscious of everything negative. You know, your own thoughts, your own negative thoughts go there, but so is everybody else's. And now this is where your soul is traveling. And not necessarily, I'm not trying to say it's traveling with Freddy Krueger, but I'm trying to say is that whatever we're creating right now, that does not, that is not part of our higher consciousness and created through soul, the opposite of that is where your soul is traveling. Okay? So, if the soul split consciousness remains at death of the body, the human being enters the underworld of darkness and demonism. That part was like, when I read that part, I was like, damn. Because how is the soul going to get out of there? And I do, like, I don't know how to say this. I don't know if it takes, you know, it made me think about ancestral work, you know, doing things for your ancestors, because maybe you could have ancestors that reside there. And it made me think about, like, how could that soul, because the soul is eternal, how can that, or that fragment of the soul, make its way out? And then it also made me think about, like, okay, if that portion of the soul is entering the underworld, then the other portions that remained intact, because we're talking about a soul split, where did it go? How did it get recycled? And if those portions of fragmented soul were allowed to re-enter into a body, that means that new incarnation of yourself, you are probably responsible of retrieving that soul fragment that, like, ventured down into the underworld, which is going to be one more thing added to your purpose. Okay. So, with that, I wanted to talk about narcissism. And I've stated in videos before, about the narcissistic relationship that I was able to get out of. But these are the tendencies. This is the type of person you're dealing with. You're dealing with a soul fragmented person. And they're not in the process of healing, and healing is not a priority for the narcissist. But while you're in that relationship with the narcissist, your soul is starting to fragment. Hopefully, and if you recognize this, and like I said, if you become aware of this, you are able to retrieve those fragments. Because when I was reading my notes about it, it says that if the person who is soul fragment, if the person remains unconscious and those fragments remain in the underworld at death, then that's where that human being is going to experience this sort of this. I was going to call it life, but that's not life. That's not living. Which made me think that, okay, if before I die, I know I've been soul split, I know I've experienced trauma, I can get that back through healing. Okay? Healing is so important. And a lot of people don't want to do it because there's no timetable on healing. It could be time consuming. You heal one day at a time. I'll explain it for myself, for my own healing. When I got out of the relationship that I was in, I didn't recognize that I was soul split, but I didn't recognize that I had been through a trauma. Okay? And the reason why I didn't recognize that was because I could rationalize certain things happening. You know, I could say that, yes, unstable emotional me or imbalanced me was allowing things to run amok in my relationship. But there was another me like living in the back of my head that was like viewing everything, saying like, this is wrong. You got to get out of this at some point. At some point, you got to get out. All right. And then I was able to get out because the me in the back of my head was still aware that none of this is going to add up to anything special or great in the long run. Okay. So because I got out and my rational mind was like, dealing with everything and, so, yeah, this person's wrong and all this kind of stuff. One, I wasn't aware of, my own part and putting myself in that situation. But two, I wasn't aware of the emotional damage that it had done. And I think it could have been, it's just weird how it happens because like after you break up, it's not, you don't really think it's a big deal. You might even try to get back out dating and start, mixing and mingling with people just because you're not aware. And then one day, and I can't tell you what day or when, you're going to feel it. It's going to hit you and you're going to be like, whoa. And it could come in the form of depression. Okay. And mine, it was weird. And I called it a slight depression because I felt like, well, if I was depressed, I should have been depressed immediately coming up out of the relationship. Like, why was I feeling good, as soon as I got out? It legit just kind of came over. And at first I was like, what is this? Like, I don't think about my ex. I'm not calling my ex. I don't reach out to my ex. None of that is happening. So why am I feeling down? Like, what's going on? And then that's when I realized like, oh, okay, you've been hurt. You're hurt. Like you in that rationalizing, trying to control a situation, you didn't recognize your emotional spiritual body was being stabbed up and abused. Like, and once you're out of it and you're not focused on that anymore or trying to maintain that relationship and can sit still for a minute, then it comes on you. And it's like, okay, it's time for me to heal. And it took time. And the one thing that I realized was that I had given up the spiritual side of myself for that relationship because I knew my partner wasn't that spiritual. And that's like rejecting God. Okay? And people have these rejecting God from my concept of what God is to me. The internal God me, the God me that looks out for me, my whole spirit team. To not connect to that was the worst thing that I could have done for myself. Because I think I had kind of gone through something similar before, but my bounce back was like, it was quick. And because I bounced in the first relationship that I had, it was tough, but I bounced back quickly. And I thought I was bouncing back after this last relationship. And it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that at all. I'll tell you this. The only way I was able to heal was by reconnecting with my spirit, with my soul. And reconnecting my spirit and my soul, bringing them back together. My personality self, making it recognize I have a soul self. Okay? So I had to pray. I prayed and I prayed because it was times where I was like, I don't even want to get out of bed. And it wasn't because I was missing the person. It was because I was just damaged. Okay? So once I was able to do that and start to create routines for myself, the depression was able to start was fading a little bit, but it lingered. It lingered. It was to the point where I was had a new position. I think I spoke about this like when I had gotten a reading and, was talking about me getting a new job. I was happy about that. But, and didn't know how it was going to come about, and it came to me, but here I had an interview to go to and I wasn't feeling at my best. I wasn't feeling like I could be on, like giving the best answers to things like that. And I had to, and for that interview, I had to pray. I had to pray hard for that to be able to have a clear mind, clear heart, give the best answers to questions. And luckily it, when God sets things up for your life and you show up for it, things will go well. You don't, like I said, you don't have to rely so much on your these personality factors, these let me wow you thing, Um, yeah, I'm grateful that I was able to get that position. It put me, you know, increased my finances and everything. But at the same time, I was scared. I was scared that I wasn't going to be able to show up as my best self because of depression. Okay. And luckily God had me because I was able to, get it, but it was mine. I just, show up for what's yours. Show up for what's yours. There are blessings upon blessings that are for you, but you won't receive if you stay in negative energy or with people who don't belong in your next cycles. Okay. And after that, I'll say that the cycling just kept continuing all the way into me doing tarot. So, and this is another thing that I'm going to talk about, like with soul and spirit, talking about cycles. There are things, because earlier I mentioned your soul blowing up your spot. So tarot was one way of my soul blowing up my spot. I had indirectly gotten messages about divination through, getting readings done for myself. Never directly spoken, but just indirect. And you got to pay attention to indirect messages. So it was just on me. I listened to, tarot readings on YouTube and different things like that. And it was coming up for Pisces. And I love listening to Pisces. I always state this, like I'm a Pisces in my sun, my moon, and my Venus. Okay. So when it was saying that, I was like, some people are like, oh, maybe you're a tarot reader and, different things like that. And I'm like, listen, I don't identify with tarot. Like, yes, I've gotten a tarot reading done before, but nothing about me says tarot reader to me, at the time. So I'm just like, what is this? Why is this message coming out? Why do I feel like I even need to approach this? And why do I indirectly get messages about being a diviner? Okay. So, the thing that I appreciate though, is that even though I felt like tarot was never supposed to be a part of my life, I took the message and I went with it. I even had a consultation with another person about it because I'm like, this is confusing to me. Like, I feel like, God is asking me to do something that I never thought. I barely play cards, okay? You won't catch me playing spades. I can't even, at the time, I can't even shuffle cards. Like at the time, I sucked at shuffling. And then there's a thing that a lot of tarot readers do on YouTube where they're like shuffling and the cards are pop. I can't do that. I don't do that. So when I did decide to do tarot, I had to practice my shuffle. And I also had to pray and tell spirit, like, I'm going to shuffle this way. And this is what I'm going to keep doing it this way. And please give the messages, accurate messages, according to the way that I shuffle my cards, and it comes out accurately, but the surprise that I had was the accuracy, that I could actually draw messages, pull messages, be given messages that actually help people, help me, and open my experience with God up. Because growing up, yeah, I had a reading here and there, and the readings were like sparked a lot of change in my life. Whether it was from a Babalawo or actual tarot reader, it did spark change in my life. But for me to do it myself and to see it firsthand and to learn how the messages are being given to me, it's life changing, So I say that to say, respect cycles, respect changes, honor changes. When life is sending you messages, don't ignore them. Ignored messages can cause things to get worse in your life. And the reason why and people take it personal, but the reason why it's getting worse is because it's not meant for you anyway. It's going to get as bad can get until you decide to step into the person who you are meant to be. okay? I don't know the ending or the full purpose of my life, but I know I'm on the right path. And you can feel that. You can feel the green lights in your life when you're on the right path. And that's fine, okay? Just be willing to move and to act. Be willing to move and to act. Don't forget your soul. Don't forget you're an energetic being. Don't forget that you can experience the material world. You can have a good experience here, but what's going to keep you is balance. Okay? I'm not here to create, or anybody out here, to create rules for you. You make your own rules because internally you know what's best for you. Okay? So, with that, if you ever feel like you're doing something that is not aligned with you, stop. Just stop. Okay? It's not a question of morality. It's not meant for me. You don't have to judge anybody for anything. And what I mean by that is live your life, the life that's meant for you. Okay? And whatever somebody else is doing, don't let that sway you on your mission. The soul has a mission. You're here because you have a purpose. You're important, is what I'm trying to say. Like, and that's why a lot of people, they don't feel like they're meant for anything or that they have any importance, but you're here because you're important. You have a personality and a body and a mind, and your actions and your words create things. You form relationships. You do all these things. You have all these talents. And to feel like that there's no purpose behind you is sad. It's sad because it's not true. Okay? So that's all I got for you guys on the soul. Get out of narcissistic relationships. Heal. Take your time healing. Take your time. Like, even in my heal, I've healed a lot, and I still know that there's more to heal. I'll give you one example. Back to like the soul fragmentation and retrieving parts of your soul. After the relationship was done and after that sort of depression creeped on, I lost my smile. Like, I couldn't smile. I would go into the mirror and I would try to smile, and it was a forced, fake smile. I couldn't even really fake it. I couldn't smile. But the more time I took healing and being consciously aware of my healing, like consciously healing, like saying, I'm going outside for this walk because I want to heal. I need some sun. I need nature. I'm going to, be around people because it's important. I'm going to do for others so I don't have to think about myself. Consciously trying to heal brought my smile back. And I can't tell you that like, oh, I had a dream or I spiritually went into the underworld and grabbed my smile and now it's back. But I got it back. And if somewhere on another plane I did that, then so be it. I don't remember it. But I know that I got it back because I know that I lost it. And now that it's back, I'm happy. Something as simple as a smile, but a smile is not just a simple thing. A smile could change somebody's day, lift your spirit, lift another person's spirit. And the fact that I had gone through something that could take my smile away was upsetting. But I'm so happy that I got it back. It's the little things. It's just, I don't know. That's just big to me. I don't know what's big to you, but having my smile is big and it's important. So take your healing seriously, okay? And watch your life change. Watch it grow. Watch it open up and unfold to new things. All right, guys. If you want to book a reading with me, you can email me at PrinceofPeaceTarot@gmail.com. Yeah, that's it. All right, guys. See you.